I'm Graeme Rogerson. I work at the Oil and Gas Technology Centre. I'm in the Small Pool Solutions Centre. That seems quite a grand title. There is just 2 staff members at that centre, so it's really just a couple of desks. So there's myself and Chris Pearson, who you heard from at the plenary session. We also have a couple of secondees helping us out just now. One is Charlie Booth, and Charlie's here somewhere today. Oh, he's up at the back of the room. And we also have Nikki Chambers with us on a part-time basis, and Nikki's at the front row here. So just so you know, that's 4 of us in the Small Pools Centre. So if you need to ask any questions, those are the guys to hunt out after this. We put a bit of work into this session. This is, Chris alluded to it in the plenary. We ran a competition a couple of months ago, and we're about halfway through the study work that came out of that competition. So this is just a sort of mid-term presentation on where we've got to. Great, and this is the agenda that we're going to rock through this morning. I'll make some introductions to the various speakers when they come up. I'm not massive on introductions, so we'll see how that goes. But if I can just spend some time just setting the scene for what the session is about. And I've got a few slides just to go through just on our thinking behind the competition. So this is our thinking behind the competition. It's keep it simple. But it's quite funny when you think about the size of these small pools. Yeah, for sure they're small. And this did get us thinking about what's the fundamental change here. And the fundamental change that we rolled out in our competition was around, if you do develop these small pools, they are not going to operate for very long. Not many hydrocarbons there, so you might be looking at operating lifespans of 3, 4, 5 years. And this is actually fundamental to the route that we've gone down in the work we've done. It was great that on the back of that, we thought, at the moment, how we develop subsea tiebacks, we design, fabricate, install kit, we operate it, and then our decommissioning is going to be either leaving kit in place or we're going to pick it up and scrap it. So our thinking is, no matter what we do to reduce costs in the subsea arena, we need to fundamentally change that. So we wanted to explore the circular economy model, and we've done that by initially engaging with Zero Waste Scotland. Zero Waste Scotland are a Scottish government-funded body. We've engaged with Scott Bryant. Scott is here today, but I can't see him. Maybe he's in a different session. No, there he is. Nice one, Scott. Scott's going to join our panel at the end of this session. Scott's been good enough to come up to Aberdeen on a number of occasions and sit with Chris and I, educate ourselves in circular economy models from different industries, how they've implemented them and impacts they've had. So it's been really worthwhile, so thanks for that, Scott. We ran the competition. We invited 40 companies into the OGTC. 25 were good enough to pitch up. We got 15 proposals off the back of it on how to implement a circular economy model to the subsea arena. And we've decided that then we picked 6 studies. We kind of suddenly realised that there isn't a silver bullet here. So we engaged with 4 companies to move this work forward. That work might be finished should be finished in Q3, maybe at the end of September, or maybe in time for the tatty holidays. Okay, so that's the agenda. Just again, they're in no particular order. There's not one takes a preference over the other. They're actually all integrated in. If you're thinking of doing one thing, you should think about doing something else. If you're thinking of doing that, you actually need to do this. So they all kind of tie in, so hopefully you'll get this story in a bit. Those 4 companies, though, have engaged quite widely across the supply chain. And this is a snapshot of who's helped out and who's been involved in the work to date. If you've helped out and your company logo's not here, sorry, just blame me. There's quite a few. But thanks for your support, for sure. So this is all around looking at how we design for disassembly, not decommissioning, and how we design for reuse instead of scrapping kit. I want to just cut to the end. There's 3 slides here just to take us through, sort of tell you the final story, so you can hopefully maybe pay attention and it helps you out. This is an economic challenge, so there's no point in looking at new tech and looking at a new model if it doesn't have an economic impact. So everything that you hear about today, we've applied it to a normal 10-kilometre UKCS tieback, normal pressure, normal temperature. It's got a couple of wells, say a manifold, production line, gas lift line, umbilical, blah, 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 and some brownfield modifications. We put together a cost model for this. This is a cost model here. And what we're thinking we're doing is, in the work that you'll see today, we believe this will half your cost, half the CapEx, ABEX cost of the subsea facilities. A couple of points if you're looking at the numbers. You'll see the total at the top there. The facilities numbers don't add up to the total. And that's because there is drilling costs in the total that aren't identified there. The other point to note is I'm saying we think we half the facilities cost, the subsea cost, following this sort of route we're proposing. But 70 million isn't half of 97 million. And the reason for that is we've got an allowance in here for brownfield modifications of 30-odd million. And we're saying the work that we're looking at doesn't actually touch that 30-odd million. That's for another day and another problem to solve. Okay. We've put that into an economic model and we've run it at $50 a barrel. We're saying there's 7 million barrel field. We say there's 2 years between the AFE date and first oil. You operated for 5 years, and in the current situation you probably wouldn't go for this development. If you go down the route that we're looking at though, we feel that you've still got the same volume of oil. You probably are able to half the time between AFE and first oil, same production life, but it maybe turns it into a project that you would maybe consider doing. And this is for just doing one project on its standalone. I want to touch on a separate point on what we're showing you today as well. We also feel it has a good environmental impact as well. I call this an environmental footprint or carbon footprint, but I guess it needs to be your carbon dioxide equivalent released footprint. So what we're saying here is we believe if you follow this route, we're looking at a 50% reduction in the footprint if you just follow down at once. We're obviously looking at a circular economy model and reusing equipment. So say you had equipment that was designed for 20 years and you wanted to use it 4 times, actually footprint would reduce considerably more, which again is a good, it's a good point to note. The last slide here, I'm just taking a note maybe from Gunther's chat in the plenary session, just to check, is subsea tiebacks, is there any relevance to the 30th round? One of the issues we have, or one of the challenges we have at the OGTC is we're quite a young organisation. The doors just opened in February. So we're actually starved of data and historical data. So I'd like to thank Woodmac, and I hope there's some of the guys in the audience today, I know that they've got an exhibit space. They've been helping us out just to get a feel for some of these, the small pool data, where they are and what they have. So this is just a heads up that in the UKCS, on existing facilities that have a COP beyond 2022, it's actually mostly 2025, there's around 224 small pools and quite a lot of barrels there. So you do feel that subsea tiebacks will play a part of development in the future. If we look at just the 30th round, I think Gunther was saying there's 140 discoveries in the 30th round. So again, 104 of them are within existing platforms. So you'd imagine that tiebacks will also play a game in development the kit on the discoveries of the 30th round. So this information we're doing a technical review just now. Woodmac will be presenting this at Offshore Europe, and there'll be a report comes out in Q3. Cool. Right, we'll go through, I think, the 6 studies that we go through. Again, I'd like to say in no particular order. The first one, I'll keep chatting for a bit more because it looks like I'm looking after this one. The idea behind this one, this is to do with looking at recovering kit from the seabed. And the idea being here is at the moment we design for fishing interaction in the subsea area. We design for kit to get hit by trawl gear. So we do a lot there, eh? We trench pipelines, we bury pipelines, and we rock dump them. We pile manifolds. If we don't pile them, we rock dump them. If we don't rock dump them, we stick down concrete mats, and it goes on. Meanwhile, the fishing industry goes on, and they have bigger boats, and they have bigger trawl gear, and I don't know, it's great that the SFF are here today, and I know Raymond is hopefully in the audience somewhere, but that's only going one way, I can imagine. I don't think we're going to see a lot smaller fishing vessels in the future. So we just thought, if you want to go down this circular economy route, this would be one of the fundamental things that you have to look at. How could we design and install subsea kit that's easier to recover, i.e. we don't pile stuff, we don't stick down a heap of mats, we don't dump a heap of rock, and we don't trench pipelines. And we think there might be a route here. And we think there might be somewhere for a short operating lifespan of 3-4 years, if we could work with the fishermen to see if there's any way of monitoring subsea safety zones to keep the fishermen outside those areas for a piece while they operate. You'll know that we have a Petroleum Act 87, where these are, it's part of law. But in the past, we haven't been able to monitor these zones. But maybe we feel now we've got the technology to do that. So we'd like to have a good look at this and see where we get to. So, final slide on this one. The way that we're looking at this, we've actually completed phase 1 and done a wee bit of work. We've done a wee bit of work to identify that it's fundamental to entering into a circular economy. We think there's a huge prize out there to taking that step. And one of the biggest bonuses, maybe cross-industry, is that you'd actually be left with a clear seabed. So no long-term decommissioning liability, and also a clear seabed for other industries to use, especially the fishermen. We've entered into phase 2 of this. We've managed to put together a grand title steering group, steering committee, whatever. Had a great response though from Oil and Gas UK, the OGA, the two main fishing federations, and the HSE have all said they'd support it and come on board in advisory roles. And we have, speaking to 2 operators, Nexon have just confirmed that they'll help fund the study, the piece of it, and they'll also provide somebody to come on and sponsor it. So that's great. We're speaking to one more operator who's just considering it just now, but and of course OGTC will be funding this phase as well. But if there's anybody out there who has maybe 20 grand in the pocket and would like to support the next phase, please come and have a chat with me after today. That would be really cool. So what we're looking to do in phase 2 is set out a roadmap, tackle some of the main questions. That scope's still to be worked out. If we're successful with the discussions during that phase, then we'd have a phase 3 where we'd go ahead and deliver this. This would be a guideline for the industry to follow on implementing this, and it would also provide a technology roadmap on the technologies we need to see come to market, which are existing, used in a different way maybe, to help deliver it. So hopefully that makes some sense.